It's early morning. The world is still quiet, but your mind isn't. Before you even touch your phone, thoughts start flooding in. The unfinished tasks, the notifications waiting, the little worries from yesterday that somehow followed you into today. Have you ever noticed how easily your mood can be hijacked in the first few minutes after waking up? It's strange. You haven't even stepped out of bed, yet your peace is already under attack. A friend of mine, a client actually, once told me, "Every morning feels like a battle between the person I want to be and the person my emotions push me to be." And I get that, because I've been there too. The truth is, mornings aren't just the start of your day, they're the foundation of who you'll show up as for the next 24 hours. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher Stoicism, began every morning by reminding himself, "Today I will meet people who are rude, selfish and ungrateful, but they can't harm my soul unless I let them." He didn't say that to be pessimistic, he said it to prepare his mind, to step into the day with awareness instead of reaction. And that's the difference between living consciously and living on autopilot. Most people wake up and immediately give their peace away to headlines, emails, social media, other people's noise. But the Stoics taught something radical, that you and I always have a choice. A choice to decide what thoughts we feed, what emotions we nurture, what energy we carry into the day. When I started coaching people, from entrepreneurs and nurses to parents and students, I noticed one thing they all had in common. They didn't lose peace because life was too hard. They lost it because they never built a morning practice to protect it. That's why this video isn't just about motivation, it's about training your mind the same way you train your body, with daily deliberate practice. The Stoics saw the morning not as a routine, but as a sacred space, a time to anchor yourself before the world tries to shake you. And that's what I want to share with you today, 13 Stoic principles to begin your day with power, calm, and clarity. Simple words, yes, but they're more than affirmations, they're commands to your soul. Because when you tell yourself, "I decide what emotions define my day," you're reclaiming control from chaos. When you whisper, "I choose action, not just intention," you're bridging the gap between thought and reality. And when you remind yourself, "Discipline, not emotion, leads my path," you're choosing to steer your life with reason instead of impulse. These aren't fancy quotes to post online, they're mental armor. And in a world where distraction is constant and self-doubt is marketed to us daily, this armor matters more than ever. Let me paint a picture. Imagine two people waking up at the same time. The first scrolls through social media, already comparing their life to strangers. Within minutes, their focus is fragmented, their energy drained. The second person, before touching the phone, sits quietly and repeats a few Stoic reminders. "I can't control what happens today, but I can control how I respond. I'll meet difficulty with calm, not panic. I'll end this day stronger than I began." Who do you think walks through life lighter, more grounded, more unshakable? The answer is obvious, but living that way takes practice. And that's what Stoicism really is, not a theory, but a daily training ground for the soul. Epictetus used to tell his students, "You become what you give your attention to." So if your first thoughts every morning are fear, comparison and anxiety, you're training your mind to be fragile. But if your first thoughts are clarity, gratitude and courage, you're training your mind to be free. I've seen people transform their entire mindset just by changing the first 10 minutes of their morning. One of my clients, a single mother who works 2 jobs, started each day by writing just one Stoic affirmation on a sticky note. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't long, but over time she told me, "I stopped feeling like life was happening to me. I started feeling like I was living with it." That's the shift. That's what this philosophy does. So if you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or easily thrown off by life's noise, this video is for you. Because the Stoic morning isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about grounding yourself in what's real, what matters, and what's within your control. Each of the 13 principles I'll share today is a reminder, a call to return home to yourself. You don't need perfection, you just need presence. And if you practice even one of these thoughts each morning, you'll start noticing something subtle but powerful. The world doesn't become easier, you become steadier. So take a breath with me, let's slow down. And together, let's explore what happens when you start every morning not in reaction, but in reflection. Not chasing control of the world, but mastery of your own mind. Because when you learn to lead your mornings, you don't just change your day, you change your life. So now that you've grounded yourself in that quiet moment between thought and action, let's step into the heart of it, the 13 Stoic Morning Principles. We'll start with the first 7. These are not theories or mantras for decoration, they are disciplines for the mind, forged through thousands of years of human experience. Each one is a choice, a muscle you strengthen every morning before the world has the chance to weaken it. 1. I decide what emotions define my day. Let's begin here with foundation. You wake up, maybe you spill your coffee, maybe someone cuts you off in traffic, maybe your boss sends you a message that feels like a storm brewing before you even arrive at work. And yet, in that tiny pause between what happens and how you respond, that's where your power lives. The Stoics believe that nothing external has the ability to disturb your peace unless you give it permission. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." I've seen this truth play out countless times, in coaching sessions, in my own mornings, in the lives of people who once thought their mood was at the mercy of circumstance. You can't always choose the weather, but you can choose the climate inside your mind. So when you say, I decide what emotions define my day, you're not denying reality, you're defining your response to it. Ask yourself right now, who gets to set the tone for your day, you or everything around you? 2. I choose action, not just intention. We all have good intentions in the morning. I'll work out today. I'll be patient. I'll focus. But how often do those intentions fade by midday? The Stoics didn't worship motivation, they practiced movement. Seneca said, "It's not that we have a short life, but that we waste much of it." You don't need to feel ready, you need to begin. One of my clients, an artist, once told me he used to wait for inspiration to paint. Weeks would pass, nothing. Then one day he started painting without inspiration, just for 15 minutes each morning. He told me, that's when the inspiration finally came. Action breeds clarity, intention alone breeds frustration. So when you repeat this principle, you remind yourself that the gap between the person you dream of being and the person you are is usually just one small brave action. 3. Adversity fuels my strength. Here's a paradox most people miss. The Stoics didn't avoid discomfort, they trained in it. To them, adversity wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Epictetus, who was born a slave, taught that every obstacle is an opportunity to strengthen your inner fortress. Think about it. Your muscles grow by resistance, your wisdom grows by reflection, and your courage grows by challenge. A friend of mine, a nurse in New York, once told me how, during the pandemic, she began every shift by whispering this phrase, "Adversity fuels my strength." She said it didn't make her day easier, but it made her heart steadier. It reminded her that pain can have purpose. So when life throws chaos your way, don't ask why me. Ask, what is this training me for? That shift in question turns suffering into strength and fear into focus. 4. Discipline, not emotion, leads my path. We live in an era that worships feelings. Follow your heart, Jin. Trust your gut. Do what feels right. But here's the truth. Feelings are weather. Discipline is climate. Marcus Aurelius didn't always feel like getting up early to lead an empire. Epictetus didn't always feel calm while enduring hardship, but they practiced discipline because they knew emotion is a passenger, not a driver. Discipline isn't punishment, it's freedom. When you act based on principle rather than impulse, you don't have to start over every time your mood changes. I remember a young man I mentored struggling with procrastination. He'd tell me, "I'll do it when I feel motivated." I told him, "So what if you act first?" That simple reversal changed his entire rhythm. Every time you choose structure over impulse, you build the kind of strength that no chaos can shake. 5. My value is constant, not situational. This one runs deep. Because so many of us unknowingly tie our worth to our results. We feel good enough on productive days and useless on bad ones. But the Stoics taught that your value isn't a scoreboard. It's a constant state of being. You are not your failures. You are not your successes. You are the awareness that learns from both. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome, yet he constantly reminded himself that his power didn't define his worth. His character did. And I've seen this lesson in modern life too. A CEO I once worked with told me, after his company collapsed, "For the first time I had to meet myself without the title." That moment broke him open, but it also freed him. So every morning when you say, "My value is constant," you are separating who you are from what happens to you. You are remembering that storms may shake your branches, but your roots remain. 6. Gratitude sharpens my perspective. Gratitude is often misunderstood. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about remembering what still is. When life feels overwhelming, gratitude is the lens that brings truth back into focus. It's the Stoic way of saying, even when I can't control the storm, I can still notice the light. Modern psychology agrees. Studies show that a short morning gratitude practice rewires the brain, strengthening resilience and optimism. But for the Stoics, gratitude wasn't just a feeling, it was a discipline. They would reflect each morning, what do I already have that I take for granted? I sometimes ask my clients to try this. Before reaching for your phone, name 3 things that still exist today. Your breath, your body, your chance to try again. Because no matter how chaotic life gets, the fact that you woke up means there's more right than wrong. Gratitude doesn't erase pain, it gives you perspective strong enough to face it. 7. My peace is my responsibility. This is one of the hardest truths to live by. It's easy to believe that peace will come once people treat you better, or once life finally slows down. But that's an illusion. The Stoics said, "The wise man is calm not because life is easy, but because he has mastered his own reactions." Your peace is your job. Not your partners, not your bosses, not the world's. A woman I once coached had a habit of saying, "They make me angry." I told her gently, "No one can make you angry. They can only trigger what's already inside you." That moment changed everything for her. She began pausing before reacting, reminding herself, this emotion is mine to manage. Within weeks, her relationships shifted, not because others changed, but because she did. Imagine if we all did that. Took ownership of our inner state the same way we take responsibility for our physical health. The world outside might stay noisy, but inside we'd finally hear the sound of stillness again. Each of these 7 principles, from emotional sovereignty to gratitude, from action to peace, builds upon the other. They form the mental armor you put on before stepping into a world designed to distract and drain you. The Stoics knew that wisdom isn't measured by what you say, but by how you respond. And when you begin each morning with these 7 reminders, something powerful happens. You stop chasing calm and you start creating it. You stop waiting for strength and you start training it. In the next part, we'll go even deeper into the remaining 6 principles that will help you live each day with greater clarity, resilience, and presence. But for now, take one of these 7 truths and carry it with you through today. Not as a quote to memorize, but as a compass to live by, because that's what being a modern Stoic really means. Not escaping life, but mastering the way you walk through it. So let's keep going. If the first 7 principles helped you build the foundation to reclaim your peace, your focus, your discipline, then these next 6 will help you elevate that peace into power. They're about how to walk through your day with purpose, self-respect and clarity, no matter what the world throws at you. 8. My path is mine alone. Comparison is one of the silent thieves of joy. You could be doing something meaningful, even beautiful, but the moment you look at someone else's progress, a friend's success, a stranger's highlight reel, suddenly your own life feels small. I've seen this again and again. A man once told me, "I feel like I'm behind in life." When I asked him behind who, he couldn't answer. The Stoics understood that every path is different because every soul has its own assignment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't waste your remaining time by thinking about what others do unless it's for the common good." You are not late, you are not early, you are exactly where your growth requires you to be. Every person's timeline is like a fingerprint, unique, unrepeatable. So when you say, "My path is mine alone," you're freeing yourself from the illusion of comparison. You stop competing and you start creating. 9. I will end the day stronger than I began. This one is simple, but powerful. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Seneca said, "While we teach, we learn." Every mistake, every setback, every failure is a classroom. I once worked with a soldier who told me that at the end of each day, he'd ask himself just one question. Did I handle myself better today than I did yesterday? Not did I win, not did I succeed, just did I grow? That's the Stoic mindset. You measure success not by outcomes, but by improvement. Maybe you lost your temper a little less. Maybe you were kinder to someone who didn't deserve it. Maybe you got back up when your mind wanted to quit. That's victory. When you live by this principle, you turn every sunset into a mirror, not to judge yourself, but to understand yourself. And that quiet reflection, day after day, shapes you into someone unbreakable. 10. I invest energy only in what I can control. This is the heart of Stoicism. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. The challenge isn't just knowing the difference, it's accepting it. Think about how much energy we lose worrying about other people's opinions, the future, or things already past. It's like trying to row a boat while holding onto the shore, so you go nowhere but you exhaust yourself. One of my clients, a young entrepreneur, used to spend hours obsessing over what people said about his work online. Every morning he'd wake up anxious, checking comments before even brushing his teeth. When I taught him this Stoic principle, I told him, "Your job is to create, not to control how others react." Within weeks he stopped spiraling, because he stopped fighting battles that weren't his to fight. The moment you reclaim your energy from things you can't control, you regain clarity, strength, and peace. You become unstoppable. Not because life gets easier, but because your focus becomes unshakable. 11. Every sunrise is a second chance. Every morning you wake up with a choice to repeat yesterday or to rewrite it. No matter what happened last night, the argument, the failure, the regret, the sun still rises, and that means so can you. The Stoics practiced a daily reset. They believed each dawn was a new beginning, a chance to live wiser, calmer, and more aligned with virtue. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to love." There's something profoundly humbling about that. The universe doesn't owe us another morning, yet it gives it anyway. So instead of asking us, why isn't my life perfect yet? Try asking, what can I do differently with the gift I've been given today? A friend of mine who struggled for years with addiction told me something that stuck with me. Every morning felt like mercy, like life was saying you still have time. That's what this principle is, mercy turned into mindfulness. So when the sun rises tomorrow, don't rush past it. Let it remind you, you're not starting from zero, you're starting from experience. 12. I speak to myself with kindness, not criticism. This one hits home for many of us. We talk about compassion for others, but we often forget compassion for ourselves. If you spoke to your friends the way you speak to yourself, would they still want to stay? Most people don't realize your inner voice is your most consistent companion. The Stoics didn't ignore it, they trained it. Epictetus told his students to guard their thoughts like soldiers guard a fortress because the mind becomes whatever it repeats. A woman I once worked with, a successful executive, admitted she was constantly harsh to herself. I'm never enough, she'd say. No matter how hard I work, it's not good enough. One morning I asked her to write a single sentence. I'm doing my best with what I have right now. She read it out loud and cried. That became her new morning affirmation. When you speak to yourself with kindness, you're not being weak, you're being wise. Because a calm mind doesn't grow from criticism, it grows from compassion and consistency. And the more gentle you are with yourself, the more resilient you become with the world. 13. Stillness is my strength. And finally, the last principle, the one that ties them all together, stillness. In a world addicted to noise, movement, and validation, stillness has become an act of rebellion. For the Stoics, stillness wasn't about doing nothing, it was about being fully present. Marcus Aurelius often paused throughout the day to breathe, to observe, to remind himself. Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved and the raging of the sea falls still around it. That image has guided me for years. Because the more chaotic the world becomes, the more essential it is to protect the silence inside you. Try this. Before you check your phone in the morning, just sit for 60 seconds. Breathe. Notice your thoughts without judging them. Feel the weight of your body, the rhythm of your breath, the quiet hum of life continuing. That moment, that tiny slice of stillness, is where peace lives, and the more you visit it, the easier it becomes to return to it when the day gets heavy. A soldier I once interviewed put it perfectly. He said, "In war, I learned that calm isn't the absence of chaos, it's the mastery of it." That's what stillness is, the ability to hold steady even when everything else moves. When you embody this principle, you don't need to escape the noise. You become the calm in the center of it. Each of these 6 principles forms a bridge between who you were yesterday and who you can be today. Together with the first 7, they create a kind of mental ritual, a quiet training ground for your mind and heart. And when practiced daily, these aren't just affirmations anymore. They become habits. They become your nature. You start to notice subtle changes. You stop chasing validation. You stop fearing uncertainty. You stop waking up in reaction and start waking up with direction. That's the transformation the Stoics spoke of. Not dramatic, not loud, but steady and enduring. Because every time you choose reflection over reactivity, calm over chaos, and discipline over distraction, you become just a little more free. So tomorrow morning, when the alarm rings and the world calls for your attention, pause. Before you open your phone, open your mind. Remind yourself of these truths. Your emotions are yours to command. Your peace is your responsibility. Your path is your own. And stillness is your strength. Because life will always test you, but the way you begin your day, that's how you win the battle before it even starts. Take a slow breath. You've just traveled through 13 Stoic principles. Not commandments, not cliches, but reminders. Reminders of who you already are beneath the noise, the fear, and the pressure of modern life. Because here's the truth. Stoicism isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming emotionally honest. It's not about ignoring the world. It's about walking through it with open eyes and a steady heart. When Marcus Aurelius wrote his Meditations, he wasn't writing for an audience. He was writing to himself, to keep his mind clear amid chaos, to keep his humanity intact while carrying the weight of an empire. And maybe that's what we all need to do each morning, to sit quietly and remind ourselves of what truly matters before the world tells us what should. Because the world will always demand your attention. It will always try to pull you into comparison, reaction, and noise. But you get to decide every single day where your focus goes. And that decision shapes your life more than any event, any circumstance, or any person ever could. I want you to imagine something for a moment. It's early morning, the air is cool, the city is still half asleep. You sit quietly, maybe with a cup of coffee, maybe just with your breath, and instead of grabbing your phone, you whisper one of these truths to yourself. I decide what emotions define my day. Or maybe, stillness is my strength. That small moment might seem insignificant, but that's where change begins, not in grand gestures, but in quiet decisions. That's where you start to rewrite your story, one thought at a time. Because life isn't waiting for you to have it all figured out. It's waiting for you to begin, again and again, with clarity and courage. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, the practice of premeditating life's challenges. They knew that peace doesn't come when life gets easier. Peace comes when you get stronger. And that's why these morning principles matter. They're not meant to be memorized. They're meant to be lived. They're the foundation of an unshakable life, one built not on circumstances but on character. You don't need to change everything today. Just start with one small act of awareness. When you wake up tomorrow, take 10 seconds before you speak, before you scroll, before you rush. Breathe, choose your emotion, set your intention, and carry one Stoic principle with you into the day like a compass in your pocket. Maybe it's discipline, maybe it's gratitude, maybe it's peace, but whatever it is, let it guide you, because the more you practice these small moments of awareness, the more you'll notice something incredible. The chaos outside remains the same, but the storm within starts to quiet down. You begin to realize that calm is not found, it's built. Confidence is not given, it's earned. And happiness? It's not something you chase, it's something you create by living in alignment with what's true. That's what Stoicism is really about. Not escaping the world, but engaging with it from a place of strength and stillness. Not controlling everything, but mastering yourself. So if this message resonates with you, if you're tired of the noise, the overthinking, the emotional chaos, then this space, this channel, is for you. Welcome to Stoic Awakening More. Here we don't just talk about philosophy, we live it. We explore what it means to stay calm in a loud world. We learn how to turn pain into power, adversity into growth, and daily chaos into quiet strength. Every week I'll share practical lessons, ancient insights, and real stories that will help you see life through a Stoic lens, simple, grounded, and transformative. And my only goal is this, to help you wake up each morning not in reaction, but in reflection. To remind you that peace isn't a distant destination, it's a daily practice. So if you found value in this video, take a moment, not just to click like or subscribe, but to pause and reflect on what part of this spoke to you. Which of these 13 principles will you carry with you tomorrow morning? Comment it below, not for me, but for you, because when you write it down, you start to live it. And if you want to walk deeper into this journey, into the Stoic mindset, self-mastery and emotional freedom, then subscribe to Stoic Awakening More. and join a growing community of people learning how to live with wisdom, courage, and calm. This channel is your reminder that no matter what happens around you, you can always return to yourself, you can always begin again, and you can always choose to live not reactively but intentionally. Take one last breath with me. Feel the air enter your lungs, feel the stillness behind the noise, and remember you are not at the mercy of your thoughts. You are their master. You are not broken. You are becoming. Thank you for being here, my friend. Until next time, stay grounded, stay grateful, and as always, stay stoic.